I speak today for the dignity of our company and the destiny of human rights. I urge every person of all countries, of all political views, and from every section of the globe to join me in this cause. Google pulled out of China today with my full support, and hopefully yours as well. At times, fate calls on corporate leaders to make a stand for what they believe in, and it creates a turning point for their companies. So it was for Henry Ford when he introduced the weekend in 1926, ending the 6 to 7 day work week. So it was for Carnegie when he set a standard in philanthropy a century ago, setting greed aside for the good of fellow Americans. So it was this morning when we took a stand against Chinese intolerance of internet freedom. In our time, we have come to live with moments of great crisis. Our lives have been marked with debate about great issues, issues of prosperity and depression, of success and failure. But rarely does the private sector set aside the bottom line to fight for what is right for the world. Rarely are we met with such a challenge, not to our growth or our promises to stockholders, or office welfare or internet security, but rather to the values and the purposes and the meaning of our beloved nation. 60 years ago, the General Assembly of the United Nations adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The document proclaims that it will protect freedom in speech and freedom from fear. In accordance with this document, with the backing of our country's founding beliefs, and with our own convictions, we will now stand stronger for human rights. We will now direct all Google China to Google Hong Kong. It is time to allow every Chinese citizen free access to information. If Chinese citizens face censorship, it will not be at our hands. We refuse to constrain what information is rightfully theirs. If a Chinese citizen Googles Tiananmen Square Massacre 1989, they are faced with an error page. If a Chinese citizen Googles internet freedom, they are faced with an error page. If a Chinese citizen Googles human rights, they are faced with an error page. It is time to cease gagging the truth of China's history. China's human rights issue is bigger than Google. This country, America, was the first nation in history to be founded with a purpose. The great phrases of that purpose still sound in every American heart. All men are created equal. Government consent of the governed. Give me liberty or give me death. These are not empty words. These are not empty statements or theories. In their names, Americans have fought and died for 2.5 centuries, and around the world they still stand fighting as guardians of our liberty, risking their lives. If not, these words are a promise to every American citizen that they shall share in freedom, shall choose their leaders, shall educate their children, and shall provide for their family to the best of their ability, unrestricted by the looming government. And as a corporate leader, I'm proud to say that this system has worked for us, and that it can work around the world. Indeed, it must work around the world, so says the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The pact that we made with the United Nations is not just between governments. It is a promise between peoples. There is no reason to deny human rights. There is no duty that weighs more heavily on us than the duty we have to ensure human rights. I call upon all American companies considering working with China to force freedom into their pending contracts. I call upon all American companies who are working with China to reevaluate their contracts. I call upon all American citizens to also pressure these companies to do so. We can have interaction with the great nation of China without compromising our morals. If not, a man must decide what is right for the world, along with what is right for his companies. I know Google's sacrifice is great, but we, Google, make no apologies for our principles. America is the richest and most powerful country that has ever occupied this globe. Google is a lot like America, strong, large, and firmly grounded in our beliefs. I do not want to be the CEO who abandons America's and Google's values, who leads this country's private sector down the wrong path. I want to be the CEO who educates young children to the wonders of their world. I want to be the CEO who inspires critical thought and challenges boundaries. I want to be the CEO who helps to end the violation of human rights. And so, I came down here to ask for your support. Share this task with me and share it with the people we work with. I want internet freedom to go beyond Google. I want it to go to Congress, to the White House, to the EU, and to the UN. It's time that corporations and governments band together to make a stand for internet freedom. John Kennedy said, "The cost of freedom is always high, but Americans have always paid it." The cost is high, but the ideal is mightier. It is our duty to uphold our ideals as American citizens. Our stand starts today.